Okay, this is another installment on my YouTube. Thank you for viewing in. If you view in, you're going to be blessed or given a gift, could in turn be a gift. It can be taken as a gift or, as a blessing or a curse. So it's totally up to you how you receive this. Now, with that in mind, we're going to get to where I'm saying, where we're going to get into is quick shortcuts. All right, for King James Bible, Holy Bible. Excuse me, a little raspy, a little under the weather. Okay, I'm gonna give you first a little background history about King James. Is don 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 exclamation points? What? King Jacob? Yes, King James is King Jacob. This is his Bible. Okay. Now, with that in mind, yeah, city going wild, whatever. With that in mind, excuse me. With that in mind, that King James is actually King Jacob, you can, once you research and understand, research James. That's what you got to research, what the word James is and where it came from. Then it give you King. It goes back to Jacob, who is the heel catcher. Heel catcher Jacob. Okay. That's why God changed his name to Israel, because he was a hill catcher. And if you read, so a little background is, if you read Genesis, you will know who was meant to bite the hills of men and eat the dust of the earth. And that's why Jacob was who he was. So whose Bible are we reading? I'm telling you now, it's King Jacob. Now, understand this. This is why I tell you that. At the end of the day, King Jacob, he's a light. He was a light in this world. He was the sun for a while, right? And then he had to go through Egypt with Joseph the dreamer, who dreamed, his dreams. Whereas though he had to, that Egypt would, that Jacob would bow to, and the tribes would basically have to bow to Joseph at this point, because he was taken into, actually he was sold by his brothers into Egypt, so on, etc. If you don't know the story, read the book. The book is a great source of information. They're going to tell you the truth about everything. Okay, so when Jacob was the son at that point in time, the torch really got passed to Joseph at that point, because after Joseph went through all his hardships in Egypt, locked up, so on, etc., then Jacob sent his sons to get food because of the famine that was in the land. And he sent his sons, and they ended up having to go back and get his other son, Benjamin. And then they met Joseph, because they didn't recognize their brother at the time. And that's a whole nother story of why they didn't recognize him. It's a whole lot of different stories, which are, truths, because everything is a truth. But at the end of the day, you have to understand what the real truth is of what you need to understand, because they're all just gateways to lead you to the end of the road, or to down that path to get you beyond where you need to be, beyond where you are to get you to where you need to be. Sorry, please excuse me. Now, with that backstory lined up, that's going to tell us where she was coming from, the Samaria woman down here, where she was coming from. Now, generally, I'm going to try to go through here and give you the jewels that are laid up in here, as God tell you all throughout his book. The Father tells you throughout all his book that there are hidden treasures in here if you know how to see them. And these hidden treasures are your rewards. So, I got mine, you better get yours, and I'm trying to show you how to get yours. So don't get stuck and hung up on how my outward appearance may be appear to you in some of the videos and things of that nature, or because that's for a reason. It's because if you can't look at me who live in truth, knowledge, wisdom, and understanding, so on and etc., down all the spirits, then you don't deserve to hear what I have to say. So yes, that is why I have those videos. But then I thought of a new way to bring my style of learning to you, the viewer, whoever you may be, so that you can understand. Because we need to understand that we know everything, but we really don't know nothing. And you have to learn to know nothing. You know what I mean? So you have to forget whatever you think you know and start all over. And for those of us who have been, gifted to walk this walk, that may have been burned by an angel, to live in a certain lifestyle or a life's condition or whatever have you, that condition is unto the land that you live in. And most of us in this world, I really just want to get to this, but most of the beings in this world, they live in Babylon and Egypt. And the reason why Egypt always comes to tumble at the end is because there is one that comes up with the knowledge. And when I say there's one doesn't mean one person. One to God is 1 + 1 = 1. So, well, that's what I'm trying to tell you. When we think we know something, we only know what we can see. We don't know what we don't know. So the book teaches you that. And I say the book because I want you to understand the spirit is in the Holy Bible. It is there. And once you get that spirit of understanding, discernment, so on and etc., then it allows you to. This is the Most High spirits that He's given to you, so that you are able to discern and see those that approach you, those that you deal with on a daily basis. You will see who they really are and what type of spirit that they carry. That is the power of the book, is to show you what you're dealing with. Whether you're dealing with a lamb, a lion, a goat, a sheep, a leopard, so on and etc. Whatever you're dealing with, because these animals, we have been tricked, bamboozled, hogswoggled, whatever you want to call it. The wool has been over our eyes since the point of entry into this world. That's why it says you're born into sin, because you truly are just born into sin. The ways of your parents, beings try to do the right thing due to their understanding, but at the end of the road, we all end up at the same place, whereas though we try to go to church or some type of being to teach us, and then that being builds a tree, which would be a building. He is the father of that tree. So when you go into that tree and he teach you his doctrine, or he teach you whatever he think you need to know about God, and it's wrong, then that tree is going to bear bad fruit. All right, that aside, I'm going to bear some good fruit. And knowing that the knowledge that I'm going to come with is going to be widely rejected by everyone, because nobody knows nothing. All right? The oldest person or being on this planet is, I say, I even give it to the Father's Day, of 120 years old. So if 120 days old, which would be 120 years if you have understanding. So if you live that long, you still ain't as old as the book. So why am I going to stop and believe what you tell me? That's the trick. That's the trick to understanding the book. You have to kind of get away from everybody so that you can hear what the book is telling you. And what the book is, when it's elevating your mind from the shadows to the reality of things the way they're supposed to be, because we all live the shadows of things. We think metal is gold, we think metal is silver, we think metal is copper. On the earthly level, yeah, but on the level you're supposed to be living on right now, because you made it past a point, the level you're supposed to be on because you made it past a point in your life, you're not living. So you're still dead, but you're a dead gateway, because it's like death is guarding the door, because you're dead with your spiritual knowledge of the earth, because you don't know how to use it. That's actually your spiritual knowledge of the earth is actually your defense and offense, because you're going to learn how somebody's going to come at you when you say, oh, those earrings of gold and things like that they gave to make the bull that was cast into the fire, so on and etc. Now, when you living in spirit, that don't mean nothing that anybody thinks that means. So you'll get people saying, oh, so what about earrings, this, that, and the third? If you understand what a golden earring is, which is an Ishmaelite, he tells you in the book, you have to read it to find it. You understand what that was. Now, you also have to understand there was an earthly act period of time, but the spiritual act period of time as well. So, because time is funny. The things that's happening to you, around you right now at this very second, is not happening around me at this time in this very second. I have different things happening just right outside of my house, just like you do. But what I'm trying to get you to understand is the way it speaks, it tells you something that happens multiple times at the same time. At the same time. And there's 7 levels to get through. And starting at 3, because the first one will get you to understand the other levels. The 1 and 2 will get you to understand the other levels, because 1 is actually 1 plus 1 equals 1. Okay, that's what 1 is. So 2 is 1 plus 1 equals 1. And 1 plus 1 equals 1. Okay, that's what 2 is. I hope somebody gets some understanding. So it's really 4 to equal the 2. Okay. Now I use my visual aids in my head to draw that, because I'm very visual like that. So to digress. So we're gonna get back to King James. Is Don 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 what? King Jacob. Okay, now if you're gonna have to go do your own research, but if you go back and you research where King Jacob was, because people think King Jacob is white, he was not white. He was not. All right, but I'm also going to tell you that at the end of this night, which we live in a night because we're in the darkness. We're in the darkness of understanding. We're in the evilness, which is a darkness of the wickedness of this place. That's why most other places hate America, because they still have pieces of the truth. But we didn't get that option, okay? We got the book that nobody reads. They just stand you in front of a pastor and tell you better not ask him a question. So, or whoever you decide to, whatever tree or so-called man, goat, ox, cattle, lamb, whatever you put over you is what is over you, okay? Now, there's only one being supposed to be over you, and we all know that's the Messiah, the Ankh, the Ark, because most beings don't understand what the Ark, the cross, the Star of David is, the 5-pointed star. You don't understand that, so you because you got to understand Jesus. I call him Jesus because guess what? The book I read is English, and that's his his term in this language that everybody identifies with. So more people is going to identify, even if you speak Hebrew, you're going to identify with Jesus because you hear people say it so much. But the point is, he even said you could blaspheme, and every sin is forgivable except blaspheme of the Spirit, which is the words. Now, these words that I'm using to find out this information, I'm getting ready to share with you. So don't blaspheme it, just deal with it. Or turn it off now. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay. There cometh a woman of Samaria to draw water. Now, water is knowledge out of this book, which is King Jacob's book. This well. This would be a well, but we're going to get to that. Jesus saith unto her, give me to drink. Because he's bored. He's like, yo, what y'all do up in this land, basically? I'm going to break it down the way so an idiot can understand this. He's like, basically, I don't know what y'all do up in here, this, that, and the third, because he's a Jew. So basically, he's asking for conversation about the way they do things up there. So he said, for his disciple were gone away unto the city to buy meat. Now, meat is when you read this word with certain definitions on it. So, in this Bible was not binded up the way that it is this day. This night, that is binded up to keep man blind. Whereas though they're all, like Isaiah was a separate book, you had to just go buy that. Just like you still have to go buy the book of Enoch and all the books, even of the Apocrypha, everything was in separate. They were separate, altogether separate. They was not together the way they are today. This is why the Lord even tells you we're going to be blessed beyond blessed, and we're going to be wiser than all the prophets and wiser than Daniel, so on and etc. Because the way the books are binded, the knowledge is at our fingertips with just having the book in our hand. But nowadays we have technology which allows us to further our searches throughout different nations, throughout different histories, to lay to waste all of those other myths about why is Jesus in this so-called Jesus in this nation at this point in time, in this nation at this point in time, at this nation at this point in time? Because he was there to judge them. Jesus is a spirit. When you understand what a spirit is, you will understand the avatar of my Father. Got it? Now, there cometh a woman. Oh, wait. Give me unto drink for the. Okay. Then saith the woman of Samaria unto him, how is it that thou, being a Jew, askest drink of me, which am a woman of Samaria? Okay. First off, you got to understand what a woman is to even get this, because a woman is not an actual female. This is a label they put on you because you're not supposed to be. That's why they're, you know what, that's going to be a whole long conversation. I.e., let's say instead of woman, let's put the word church here. Understand this. Church. Because I'm trying to just show you what it is decoded. So this is actually going to be like a church, a body of people, church, soldiers. It's been many a things, fleet, army, nation, whatever, woman, because it's not just one being there. It's not just a female entity. This female represents earth knowledge. That's all it is. You'll learn that in different lessons. Now, but I need you to make the distinction to understand what I'm getting ready to tell you. Which am a woman of Samaria, so a church or a body or a government of Samaria. For the Jews have no dealing with us. And you understand why, because there's a church or a body or some other type other than God's dealings. The Most High, our Father, my Father, and Jesus' Father. I don't know about the rest of y'all, because y'all are way off left field, most of y'all. Jesus answered and said unto her, if thou knowest the gift, what? The gift of God. what is a gift? A gift is something you could like or dislike. You can be like, oh, that's an ugly blouse, or ooh, that's a nice shirt. You know what I mean? It's up to you. Like, or ooh, I wish I got them earrings instead, or so on, etc. It's up to you how you receive the gift. So he said to her, and this is a strong thing that everybody, little saying that everybody looks over. If thou knowest the gift of God, I know it's the gift because who showed me? Jesus. I don't care what you call him. This is who showed me. This dude right here, this being right here showed me how to understand this, what I'm showing you. So he said, if thou knowest the gift of God, which is the understanding of God's mind, his definitions would give you understanding because all words that we speak have the wrong definitions on them, but we've been trained to use them this way. I digress. Let's get it moving. Jesus answered and said unto her, if thou knowest the gift of God, the gift of God is the definitions. It's what God calls spirit is definitions. A characteristic is a spirit, and that spirit is defined with a word. So if I say you're a clown, you know what a clown is because it has been defined. You have seen what a clown looks like, and you know he has a red nose, puffy hair of some sort, makeup on his face, and big feet. So if I say you're a clown, then the word has defined you, even though you're not actually looking like a clown. People can picture you to look like a clown. This is what I'm trying to tell you. It's jacked up down here. So if you don't want to understand, turn it off. You still got time. I'm getting down to the nitty gritty. All right, so the gift is the understanding of that. And that's where you get your discernment and all of that from. Because this whole book is written in spirit, but we read it in woman form. It's written in male form, masculine, which is heavenly, and we read it in woman form, which is earthly knowledge. So, and it says, okay, and who is it that saith to thee, give me to drink? Wouldst thou have asked of him? Wait, thou wouldst have asked him of. Wait, no, I'm sorry. Thou wouldst have asked of him, and he would have given thee living water. Okay? Now, living water is the information I'm sharing with you, like, because it's going to bring you to life. It's going to make you start to understand that, okay, if this woman is some type of a church or some kind, actually it's more like an army or whatever, because a mountain is like a government or something that's unmovable, something that's been in place for a long time is a mountain. A woman is more like a church because if she's looking for somebody to lead her. So most beings that go to church are of the woman because you're in the body of the woman. It's like, and then the body gives birth. The body gives birth to another, which would come from the information that this preacher has been given to this woman, which would be called a man because he's supposed to have spiritual knowledge. But the ones that they say have spiritual knowledge is actually a woman. So you got a woman teaching a woman. That's hard. Dun, dun, dun. Because you came from the knowledge of a woman. But it is brothers out there that have male knowledge, but most of them are shunned for trying to do the right thing and teach the right thing. And most people live in the dark because of that. And then the funny thing is yin and yang. They have good knowledge. That knowledge keeps you alive for a certain amount of time. That's why everybody dies. Because you're in the circle of the Ankh. And then when you come down into the cross part of the Ankh, then you have the other roads that you can really see and start to understand. Then you have the South Road, which is South always mean hell, Hades, whatever. This is hell, Hades. If you know what you could really be doing right now, yeah. Anyway, The woman saith unto him, now remember this woman is some kind of a body, army, or whatever, or a church or something like that. Sir, thou hast, so she's identifying that Jesus is not Isis automatically because she says sir, which means masculine felt and male knowledge. All right. Now that's a funny story because actually we'll get to that at another point. Um she says, "Sir, thou hast nothing to draw with." Okay, so what she's saying is you don't have a book in your hand, so how you going to give me something? Because remember, the water that we're talking about is this Bible, knowledge, wisdom, and understanding and words. So she's asking him, you don't have nothing to draw with. It's like when you say, when you in the Wild West and you used to say draw, you would draw your guns. Just like she's saying you don't have nothing to draw with. She has her book that he's asking her to read from so he can gain some quick knowledge. Because once you get his level, you learn other stuff real quick. You only study it for maybe a day, sometimes a few hours, and you know it, and you're off and moving on to the next subject. And then you come back and take peeks at these other subjects every now and again. But either way, when you get on this level right here where Jesus was, you learn stuff quick. Because he has the Father's definition, so he's not reading this to find the earthly understanding, because he was of earth at some point in time, because he came out of a female, out of a womb, into being on this planet. In this plane, let's say that, because things aren't what they are. I can't stress it enough. They aren't what they are. So has nothing to draw with. And the well is deep. Now she's saying this book is deep. Now when you say something is deep, you talking about deep in knowledge, because it's a book they're talking about. So she's like, this church or whatever, or this group of beings that's there at this point in time, that gathers at a point in time, they're saying to Jesus, look, this well is deep, yo, man. There's so much stuff of different things of understanding. How can you draw water there? So she says, from whence then hast thou that living water? Now the living water is because beings don't understand that God said his word didn't change. So if he didn't change it, who changed it? Satan, the adversary, the opposer, which is man changed it. The beings down here changed it. Okay? Because he separated in the beginning for a reason. Because we wanted to do our own thing. We ain't want to listen to him. So these was punishments, these separations. And these is getting you back to where you're supposed to be. To unlock your mind. So let's see. So she's asking again about the living water. The living water is the spirit of the definition. The spirit lives. If you get a definition of fire and you think it's that light that comes out of your Bic lighter or your cigarette lighter or whatever kind of lighter, and you set your shirt on fire, then that is that light. That light, you get the meaning of that definition of light. You understand that you're going to be hurt by that. But this living water is that light that goes on in your head, that understanding that these definitions live forever as long as the Lord liveth and he liveth. That his definition will always stand throughout time. That's why, actually, if beings never go into Egypt, we would have never found God. Because Egypt is a actually type of system that allows you to find him. It has to be built because It's the sacrifices and things of the other beings that came before us to get us to this point, to so that we could make it. They did it for us so that we can make it. If you read the whole Bible, and I've been through it many, many, many times, it'll keep telling you this is not. Even God told him David himself, this is not written for you. This is written for a generation further down the line. Basically, in a nutshell, but we not understanding him. We trying to make him understand us. He know us. That's why he called us earth, dirt, cause he know us. What's lower than dirt? You walk on dirt. So in order to get up from being dirt, you have to mature your levels of knowledge. Because God is about your knowledge. How can you know him if you don't understand him? That's like a different culture. Let's say a Caucasian man coming from prep school, never been exposed to the hood at all ever in his whole life, and he comes there, and vice versa. There's going to be different reactions, even though they both have knowledge to give. Because the guy from the hood is going to be able to teach them uppity guys. I call them uppity whatevers, because I'm being nice. He'll be able to teach them the ways of the beings that live in the hood, right? So now that would actually make that guy above him at this point, because now he has both knowledges. He has knowledges of the world. He has knowledges of whatever they hide from us. They get in those little military schools or whatever the case may be. So now he's actually above him because of his knowledge, right? But now the dude in this that switched places and went to the hood, he's now enlightening the hood to his ways and their knowledges, all right, and their understandings. And what's actually supposed to take place is you're supposed to take the best of all things and throw out the worst crap. So let's say you threw out all the violence, you threw out all the racism, the negativity, because that would, first and foremost, the racism would have to go, because you're killing the messenger. And trust me, I know about killing messengers because we killed Jesus. The beings down here killed Jesus. Okay? So I'm just keeping it real. And I'm not going to blame one group of people because nobody stood up for it. So all are accountable. That's why the world is the way it is today. Some beings say, oh, the world is great. Oh, this is that. This is that. It's to the point where nothing is on TV. There's nothing good anywhere. Nothing good is being reproduced because all of this stuff it keeps getting recycled until you get off the hamster wheel and have, instead of a drink of water, have a meal. This is a meal I'm giving you. That's why they changed the word chef to chief, because you are the chef. What does a chef do? He prepares a meal. I'm preparing a meal for your brain. Do you understand the importance of a chef? And if you know what a chef is, do you understand the importance of what's going on in Exodus and Leviticus in the Old Testament? Because to be a chef is to cook up and prepare a meal. And God gave you directions how to prepare the meal. So he tells you to use water, flour, oil. These is different levels of definitions on these words. But I waited to this point to make sure it was long enough that somebody didn't want to listen and they'll miss out on this. But the definitions on this word is key. And there's 7 levels of definitions on the words, and I just told you how to count. So get your pyramid going, because it's going to be a pyramid of numbers, of ones equaling whatever, and then you add them up. 1 plus 1 is 1. That's your baseline, and then you go from there. 1 plus 1 is 1. 1 plus 1 is 1. 1 plus 1 is 1. You just keep going from there. Now you could do 2 as having next to them because you're building a pyramid. And then after you get that 1 plus 1, let's say 1, the first one is good, the second one is evil, equals what? You determine what 1 plus 1 equals because of your behavior. So it could equal chaos. It depends on you and your nature. It could equal order. It could equal justice. It could equal rage. It's up to you. But that's how you get it. So if your first brick, if that very top brick is 1 plus 1 equal just, you have to understand what just is. And then you get 2. So what is 2? And then you say 1 plus 1. So you say earth is the first one, plus wind, plus water, plus fire equals 2. Get it? But that's your top 2 bricks. So your top brick would be there, and your other brick would be there, and your other brick would be there. I hope somebody gets something. All right. So, where are we? Oh, okay. So it says, "Art thou greater?" It says, "Art thou greater than our father Jacob?" Okay. Now we just figured out who Jacob was. Jacob's name got changed to Israel for a reason because it needed to be changed. But let's go. Which gave our father Jacob, which gave us the well, right? And drank thereof himself and his children and his cattle. Now, cattle are like your priests, actually, because it's your flock of a certain nature, of a certain job. Because in Numbers, he numbered everything. A number is a rank, and a name. And when he named it, he named the rank of this. I think these are one of the tribes of Israel is the cattle, and then you have another tribe that's the sheep. Then you have another tribe that's the lion. Then you have another tribe that's the so on, etc. You get what I'm saying. So so what am I getting here? And drank thereof himself. So he's telling you, Jacob got this from God. And he even, all the stuff that was written throughout what his ages on down was written down throughout these times and ages in this book, in these books, because there's still 56 miles missing from what we currently have in our possessions of books and scrolls missing. So, and it's under Vatican City. I don't really care who knows, but they really need to release it because they kind of sucking right now. We need to. It's so much we could more we could understand and do, but they're trying to oppress you and keep you in the Egyptian state mind where you're in with them on that red horse. There's a few riders. Now, see, that's what you don't understand. The riders of the red horse, there's not just one rider, there's a red horse. Now, the red horse is not just one red horse. There's multiple red horses within the red horse. So, once you understand what the color red actually means to God and not to what we call, red down here, then we will further understand what he's really telling us about this red horse. And then to show you that the Catholics are on the red horse. Most of your churches are on the red horse. Oh, no. I'm sorry. Some of them are on the famine horse, like your Christianity churches, because they preaching you some nonsense, and you are starving, and you're already dead, and you're still starving. And then you have the Hebrew Israelites. I'm sorry, man. You're on the war horse. The war horse. You see how I identified you? The book allows me to identify what horse you're riding. Okay? And the what's his name's is riding the war horse too. Anybody who is in attack mode right now is on the red horse, because there's different levels of the definition, so you can understand how there can be multiple riders of the same horse. Because the red horse is a characteristic of these beings, which is a warlike nation or a warlike nature. The warlike nature would be, whether it be spiritual with just words, because words are spirit. Just me speaking is I'm breaking a lot of laws right now, just trying to show you a way to the path. But I digress because I have to. I have to do it. So it's kind of a catch-22. You'll learn as you walk. But just believe what I'm telling you right now. So Jacob is who is this guy, because the English didn't like Jacob's name and they was trying to hide this from you. So the Brits and all of them, they changed Jacob's to James. They did that. But we know that because they also painted a white Christ, so on and etc. But it's all lies. All lies. Now, let's get down to where was we? And it says, Jesus answered and said unto her, whosoever drinketh of this water, which is this book, reading it verbatim, just straight down the line, not getting no knowledge and understanding, of the water. Oh, I'm sorry, that was up there somewhere. Hang on, or it might be down here. Anyway, but whosoever drinketh of the waters that I shall give him shall never thirst. So you'll never be thirsty, because no matter what you read, God is telling you everything that is happening around us in your movies, your cartoons, your music, your letters, just some random thought that you might write down. It is all done in spirit, whether you know it or not. Oh man, and I'm gonna have to cut this video short. But he's telling you the water is this book and the knowledge in it. And but the waters and I should give him shall be in him a well of water springing up into everlasting life. And that's the everlasting life is the knowledge that I just shared with you. So I'm gonna say good day because my wife is home and I gotta go.